Welcome to the channel. My name is Matthias. Today we're going to talk about Captain America issues 336 to 339, written by Mark Gruenwald. So in these issues, we're dealing with the fact that Steve Rogers has lost the mantle of Captain America to John Walker. So Steve Rogers has been stripped of his costume, of his shield, and even his right to be a superhero, to operate and fight crime. So this happened in Captain America issue 333. And the issues after that, we got the first mission of John Walker as Captain America. And Steve Rogers was sort of like missing in action, dealing with this whole situation. So we have Steve Rogers roaming around the country, trying to find his footing and trying to see where he's going to go from this point on. He's driving this van, and the thing is that out of nowhere, like this crevasse opens up in the middle of the road. His van falls in. Now, while all this is going down, all of Steve's old sidekicks, we're talking about Demolition Man, Falcon, and Nomad, they have joined forces and they have created this ad hoc team, and they have decided to search out for Steve Rogers, help their friend. I find it pretty hilarious that Nomad is like a really good friend to Falcon, but he's such an asshole to Demolition Man. He is giving him a real hard time, and D-Man is just really, really nice. He doesn't know how to deal with this. To the point that Nomad sort of comes off as a bully, because D-Man is just this really nice guy with this gigantic heart, and Demolition Man just can totally obliterate Nomad at any moment. He's much more powerful than him. So the story cuts back to Steve Rogers. He's able to get out of this hole. He actually rides out on his motorcycle. And the thing is that he discovers that this guy, his name is Brother Nature, is the one responsible for making this gigantic sinkhole in the first place. And he's sort of presented as this eco-terrorist type of character, but it's not too interesting. It's cool to see that Steve Rogers, instead of punching his way out of this problem, he's able to talk this guy down and show him the error of his ways. Also, Steve is really smart because he realizes that Brother Nature is like insanely overpowered. And if he ticks him off, he's going to be in some serious trouble. So we jump to the next issue, and we have the sidekicks find Steve's van in this gigantic sinkhole that we talked about earlier. Demolition Man jumps in, and he's so strong that he's able to throw the van out of the hole. The other two sidekicks are like, holy cow, we had no idea he was that strong. But the interesting thing that we see here is, and we have seen this in previous issues, is that when D-Man pushes himself too hard, it really takes a toll on his body and his health. He pretty much almost had a heart attack pulling off that stunt, but the other two sidekicks didn't see him go through this. So what happens is, finally, the sidekicks come across Captain America. Actually, Captain America finds them. They're all reunited, and the thing is that his old sidekicks tell Steve, look, you can't stop being a superhero. You're the best there is. Even though you're not a sanctioned superhero anymore, you can operate as a vigilante. And I find it so heartwarming that D-Man even brought a costume with him. I actually had no idea that D-Man was the one that designed and is responsible for the costume that later on is going to be the costume for U.S. Agent. I really love that uniform. So the thing is, the costume fits like a glove. And during this time, Steve is going to go by the name of just the Captain. So we have Team Cap go in. They take down the Serpent Society. It's really interesting to see Steve having a hard time dealing with the fact that he doesn't have the shield anymore. So he feels really awkward in battle. But that aside, they come out on top. The thing is that when the police arrive, they throw everyone in prison because, again, Cap and company, they're not sanctioned superheroes anymore. Now, it's not mentioned in the series because Cap was stripped of his mantle of Captain America, but he wasn't stripped of his Avenger status, so this should allow him to operate as a hero. But that aside, it's a dumb nerd nitpick. But what happens when we have the Serpent Society and Cap and company in prison, Sidewinder, who was the leader of the Serpent Society during this time, who is a teleporter, teleports into the prison to liberate his teammates. Captain is able to break out of a cell with help from D-Man to try to stop Sidewinder. And what happens is our villains are able to escape. Cap and company are exonerated for any type of crime, so they're liberated. Now, the last issue is actually fascinating because it's tied into the fall of the mutants. We have Famine, who is one of Apocalypse's horsemen, attacking these crops, and Team Cap jumps into action. And even though they are 4 heroes with quite a bit of experience to them, except for Demolition Man, Famine gives them a real hard time. And the battle that we get really hammers home the fact that Cap really needs a shield. This will lead to Cap going to Tony Stark to commission a new shield for him. And Tony Stark at first totally obliges. He has no issues. But this is going to set up a really awesome story arc that we're going to get immediately after this, where we're going to have a battle between Captain America and Iron Man. This is going to be tied into the Armor Wars crossover, but we're going to leave this video here. I hope you guys liked it. See you guys next time. Bye.